Hi, I'm Tony Sturts with Smart and Special Teaching. I am a certified academic language therapist, and I've been working with students for over 20 years. Today, I'm going to be talking about sight words with you, sight words and orthographic mapping. So, I work with students who have dyslexia almost exclusively, and they really struggle with high frequency words. So today we're going to talk about ways that we can help those students with high frequency words using orthographic mapping and also using pictures to help students with those words. So I'm going to show you some examples of how you can do orthographic mapping with your students, and then I'm going to share a video with you sent to me by a mother of one of the students that I work with and how they use orthographic mapping and pictures with their student. So I hope this will be helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please do let me know. Okay, let's do some orthographic mapping with both regular and irregular. Okay, let's do some orthographic mapping with both regular and irregular high frequency words or sight words. Okay, so if I'm doing a high frequency word that's phonetically regular, I just say the word and then I have the student repeat the word and then we can map it. So say we're doing the word had. I had a good time at the party. So I would say the word had, then the student would say the word had. Then sometimes I will have the student count out the sounds. So with their fingers, d, 3 sounds, and then we're going to dot those sounds. So I'm going to dot the sounds. D. Now, I'm going to write the letters and say the letter names. H, A, D. My word is had. Okay, that's for a phonetically regular word without any sounds in it that might cause a student problems because it's not saying it's expected sound or it's normal sound, if there is such a thing. So then, what if we had a word like said? Okay, well, you can say the sounds in that word, but the student's not going to know what that word looks like unless you show it to them. So the first thing I would do is say to them, this is the word said. So I would show them the word said. And then I would say, how many sounds do we hear in that word? D. We have 3 sounds. So let's dot those 3 sounds. We have D. What can we hear in those? What can we hear in that word said? Well, we hear the S, and then we hear the F, and then we hear the D. So I'm going to leave that part open because we're not sure what's saying F, because usually that would be a short E. But in this word, it's not. So this is the one we have to remember. So the AI in this word is saying F. So we have to remember that. So we're going to put that in one box, AI, because our phonemes and our graphemes always match up. Our sounds and our letters have to be the same number. So I'm going to put a heart around this part because that's the part I have to remember by heart. And we would have talked about the morphology of this and understanding why this happened in English, maybe, depending on the age of the student and how much they can handle. But we have the word said. Let's try another word that might be phonetically irregular, not saying the sounds that we would expect. Let's do the word to, and I'm going to say in a sentence because this is going to be the number 2. Okay, so I had 2 eggs for breakfast. So I'm going to write the word 2 because the student's not going to know what that looks like unless you write it for them. So I'm going to write the word 2. I'm going to write it right here. T-W-O spells the word 2. And I like to tell the student some of the history of that word and related words like twin and twice and 12. We can hear the W in those words, but we can't hear it in 2, but it's a related word. So I can hear it in twin. What is a twin? It's two people or 2 things that are the same. So we can't hear it in this number word 2, but we know related words that also have that tw sound, but not in the word 2. TW has a meaning of 2. It's what we call a submorphine. Morphine is this is the smallest unit of meaning in a word. Well, submorphine is some letters that have meaning. TW has the meaning of something that is 2. So we talk about that, and then we're going to map our word. So we have TW, and that's going to be, first we're going to dot it. Ooh. Okay. And then we have TW, meaning 2, something more than 1. And then we have that ooh sound. Now that one could also be a little bit confusing, but we can also talk about other words that have that ooh sound, like do. So TW and then the O. So I try to make as many connections for my students as possible and talk about the morphology of it. And I wouldn't necessarily go into all the different spellings of 2 right now. Depends on what kind of a lesson you're doing. What about the word 1? I have 1 of something. Okay, so I have 1 dog, not 2 dogs. Okay, so again, if my student, it's not a phonetically regular word, so I need to show them what the word looks like. So O-N-E spells 1. And again, we can talk about related words. We can't hear this O in this word, but we know a word like only has to do with I'm the only one, there's 1. Or we can talk about the word lone. If you're the lone person, you know that O in there. So we have 1. So first we're going to dot it. So 1. So we have Okay, there's 2 sounds there. Okay, so how are we going to orthographically map that? Remember, we want to make sure that students have those correspondences. So for the word 1, I'm going to take my O and I'm going to make it go across these 2 boxes because it's representing those 2 sounds. So I'm going to do O, and then I can hear 1 N, and we're not going to hear the E in this word. So I'm going to map it right in that box because our phonemes and our graphemes need to match up. So 1. So those are some examples of how we can do this, and we can take and draw our hearts on the words that we need to do that with. So in the word 2, I'm going to remember that W in there. And the word 1, I'm going to remember that O in there. And then if you're going to use pictures, and I'll show that to you in another part of this video, we can make pictures in the letters that we're trying to remember, but we can't hear because they're saying an unusual sound, or we can't hear them in that word. So when we're using orthographic mapping to do high frequency words or sight words, we're trying to make those connections, those phonemic connections for the student, so that it's not pure memorization. It's much easier to remember something if you're just not trying to do it through rote memorization, especially for students with dyslexia, who often have a weak auditory memory.
This is our binder. In the beginning, we have the complete list of all the rules, or all the list of words. Then we come to our first tab, which is the, these are the new ones, the current words we're working on. As he completes them, we move him over here to this one. Right now, he's working on these two, as he mastered the rest of them tonight. So once they're mastered, they move over here to the mastered section. We consider them mastered when he can read them without thinking in a list, and then once he twice spells them correctly. So then we'll master it. And we just, these are all the ones he's mastered. He goes through and he maps it. Then using these directions right here, we fill these in, and we use these pictures as prompts when he's stuck on a word. This one is he draws a picture with the story, and when I'm doing the spelling, I'll refer to this picture in some form to help prompt his memory. Then he does these right here where he'll spell them out loud as he writes them. And with this one, he writes it in the air. So these are all our mastered, and then back here is all our new words. And we need to update this one, but as they're mastered and read, we highlight them and put a star by them. So we're just about done with one, and we're starting on list 2. And then these are just the
extra.
The ones for the next sessions.
So I hope this video has been helpful to you for learning more about how to teach high frequency words to students who struggle. I hope that you get out there and start using an orthographic mapping template with your students, also studying that morphology to make those connections for your students to have something to be able to hold on to. Also, using those pictures inside those letters has really been helpful to my students, who are especially right brain thinking students who love to draw. That's been really helpful for them as well. So if you would like some of these resources that I used in the video, if you come to my website, Smart and Special Teaching, I have those orthographic mapping templates for free in my library of free resources, and more information about how you can get that red word notebook for your students to be able to use to make a notebook of those high frequency words. So if you're interested, please come to my website and check it out. Go ahead and get out there and do some smart and special teaching. I hope you have a wonderful day.